Kang Tae-hyun had taken 17 lives before his 30th birthday. He knew the specific, hollow sound a body made when it hit the floor, and he knew the exact shade of fear that clouded a man's eyes the second before the end came. He was a man built of silence and sharp edges, the kind of predator who never needed to roar because the jungle simply parted when he walked. But right now, at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday that smelled of rain and impending autumn, standing in the shadows of his private estate in Seongnam, he wasn't looking at a killer. He was watching one teach his 8-year-old son how to shatter a human wrist. The woman was known to the household staff as Nia Woods. That was the name printed in bold, sans serif font on her immigration papers and her employment contract. She had been his live-in housekeeper for exactly 3 weeks and 2 days. In that time, she had been a ghost, quiet, ruthlessly efficient, the kind of employee who folded his crisp white dress shirts with military precision and vanished from rooms before he even fully registered her presence. She was invisible. Or at least, she had tried to be. But watching her now through the floor-to-ceiling glass of his study, whiskey glass suspended halfway to his lips, Tae-hyun realized that invisible was a camouflage, not a state of being. Nia had Jiho by the shoulders. She was crouched down to his eye level on the manicured grass, her dark brown skin glowing like polished mahogany under the afternoon sun. She wore the standard, sterile black uniform required of his staff, but she had done something unauthorized. She had rolled the sleeves up to her elbows. The action revealed lean, ropey muscles that shifted like steel cables beneath her skin, forearms that were scarred and defined, belonging to a person who had pulled themselves over walls and dragged bodies out of fire, not someone who dusted bookshelves. "When someone grabs you here," Nia said, her voice muffled by the glass, but still audible to him. She wrapped her hand around Jiho's small, fragile wrist. "You don't pull away. That is the mistake everyone makes. That is what they want you to do. Panic makes you weak." She demonstrated the countermove. It was slow, controlled, and fluid. "You rotate. Like this. Against the thumb." The movement was so smooth it looked like water flowing over a stone. Jiho, a boy who usually looked at the world as if it were about to bite him, copied her. His small face was scrunched in absolute concentration, the tip of his tongue poking out from the corner of his mouth. He rotated his wrist. He broke the grip. And then, a miracle happened. Jiho laughed. The sound punched through the double-paned, bulletproof glass of the mansion like a sniper's round. It hit Tae-hyun in the chest with a force that nearly made him drop his tumbler. He hadn't heard that sound, that bright, unburdened, bell-like chime, in 2 years. Not since the tires screeched on the asphalt. Not since the guardrail gave way. Not since his wife, Hyun-jin, went into the river, taking the light of their world with her. Since that funeral, Jiho had stopped speaking for 6 months, and when his voice returned, the laughter hadn't. The boy had started waking up screaming, clawing at the sheets, haunted by demons Tae-hyun couldn't shoot. But right now, in this garden, his son was laughing. He looked alive. Nia laughed with him, a warm, rich sound that seemed to vibrate in the air. She ruffled Jiho's hair, a gesture of casual intimacy that not even Tae-hyun's own mother dared to attempt with the boy, and then she reset his stance. Her face shifted instantly from playful to serious. "Again," she said. "But faster. Imagine someone is trying to drag you into a van. You have 1 second. Go." Jiho's face hardened. He nodded. She grabbed his wrist. He rotated, snapped his arm free, and stepped back. It wasn't perfect, but for an 8-year-old, it was terrifyingly competent. "Good," Nia said, her voice carrying across the wind. "Now, listen to me. If they are bigger than you, you do not fight strength with strength. You will lose. You go for the weak points. The places that cannot be trained." She tapped her own body as she listed them. Eyes. Throat. Knees. Always the knees. Tae-hyun's blood turned to ice in his veins. That wasn't a self-defense class for children. That wasn't a playful afternoon game. That was close-quarters combat training. That was how you taught a soldier to neutralize a threat in a kill zone. He set the whiskey down on his mahogany desk with a heavy clack. His hand moved, purely on instinct, to the waistband of his trousers, checking for the cold reassurance of the Glock 19 he wore even inside his own home. Who the hell was this woman? And why was a dormant weapon folding his laundry? Before we dive deeper into this mystery, I need to ask you something personal. Have you ever let someone into your life, trusted them completely, only to realize they were wearing a mask the entire time? It's a terrifying feeling, isn't it? If you've ever had your trust broken, or if you've ever had to hide who you really are just to survive, drop your story in the comments below. I want to read them. And listen, family, we are just getting started. If you are ready to see how a billionaire mafia boss handles a housekeeper who knows how to kill, smash that subscribe button right now. You need to be here for what happens next. Tae-hyun didn't move for another 5 minutes. He stood like a statue, watching Nia finish the lesson. He watched her guide Jiho through breathing exercises, deep, diaphragmatic inhales and controlled, 4-count exhales. It was tactical breathing. It was the technique snipers use to lower their heart rates before taking a shot between heartbeats. He watched her scan the perimeter of the garden. It wasn't a casual look. Her eyes moved in sectors, checking the high ground, checking the gate, checking the shadows. She moved like a soldier. She moved like someone who had been hunted, or perhaps someone who had done the hunting. When she finally led Jiho back toward the house, wiping the sweat from her brow, Tae-hyun moved to the kitchen to intercept them. He was leaning against the granite island when they walked in. Jiho spotted him first. Appa. The boy's face lit up in a way Tae-hyun hadn't seen in years. Nia taught me how to escape. If a bad man grabs me, I can break his wrist. Wanna see? Tae-hyun's heart clenched, a mixture of fierce love and paranoid terror. Go wash up, Jiho, he said, his voice quiet but leaving no room for argument. Dinner is in 30 minutes. Jiho's smile faltered slightly at his father's tone. He glanced up at Nia. She gave him a microscopic nod, reassuring, protective, a silent promise that she would handle the sudden drop in atmospheric pressure. The boy scampered off toward the stairs, his footsteps fading away. The kitchen went silent. The hum of the oversized refrigerator seemed deafening. Nia stood by the sink, hands folded demurely in front of her, eyes downcast. It was the perfect picture of domestic submission. It was a lie. Tae-hyun could see the tension in her trapezius muscles. He saw the way she had positioned herself with a clear line of sight to the back exit and the hallway. He saw that her weight was balanced on the balls of her feet, ready to spring or pivot. What housekeeper knows Krav Maga? He asked. He spoke in Korean, testing her fluency again, watching for a delay in processing. She didn't flinch. She didn't pretend to be confused. I do not know Krav Maga, Mr. Kang, she answered in perfect, unaccented Korean. Her voice was smooth, low, and calm. My father taught me self-defense when I was young. Growing up where I did, a woman needs to know how to say no with more than just words. I was just playing with Jiho. Playing? Tae-hyun repeated the word like it tasted of ash. Yes, sir. You taught my 8-year-old son how to crush a trachea. I watched you. I taught him how to protect himself if someone tries to take him. Her eyes flicked up then, meeting his. There was steel behind the brown irises. A hard, unyielding resolve that shocked him. Given who his father is, I assumed that was a necessary survival skill. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. It was a direct hit. She had acknowledged his life, his criminal empire, the shadow he cast over his son. Tae-hyun took a step closer, invading her personal space. Most people shrank back when Kang Tae-hyun moved toward them. He was a tall man, broad-shouldered, radiating a dark, suffocating power. Nia didn't move. She didn't back away. She held her ground, her breathing even. Interesting, he murmured, his voice dangerous. Who are you? Your housekeeper, sir. Try again. Nia Woods. Age 27. Ghanaian passport. Working visa expires in 8 months. References available upon request. Her voice was steady, rhythmic. It was rehearsed. You ran my background check before you hired me. Everything cleared. He had run her background. It had come back clean. Pristine. No criminal record, no debts, just a string of domestic jobs in Dubai and London. Almost too clean, Tae-hyun said softly. You don't move like a housekeeper, Nia. You move like a weapon. I have lived in many places, she said, her chin lifting slightly. My father was military. He believed that the world is not safe for soft things. He taught me to be hard. She paused, calculating her next words. Is there a problem with me teaching Jiho to feel safe? Because that is all I was doing. Giving him his power back. I can stop if you prefer. It was a calculated checkmate. She knew he couldn't say yes. Not after he had heard that laugh. Not when Jiho was finally smiling again. Tae-hyun studied her for a long, agonizing moment. He took in the curve of her jaw, the way the late afternoon light caught the rich undertones of her skin. She was beautiful, he realized with a start. He had noticed it the day she interviewed, but it had been an abstract observation. Now, seeing the fire in her eyes, the defiance, the lethal competence masked by servitude, she was captivating. You will continue Jiho's lessons, he said finally. 1 hour every afternoon. Nia relaxed, just a fraction. But, Tae-hyun added, leaning in until he could smell the faint scent of shea butter and rain on her skin, if I find out you are lying to me about who you are, if you are a plant, or a spy, or a threat, I will not fire you. I will bury you. You won't have to, she interrupted softly. It was bold. Stupidly bold. I am here to work. Nothing more. We'll see, Tae-hyun murmured. He turned on his heel and left the kitchen. As soon as he was out of sight, he pulled his encrypted phone from his pocket and texted Chief Han, his head of security. Run a deeper check on Nia Woods. Dig past the digital footprint. I want to know who she was before she was a housekeeper. I want to know what she ate for breakfast 10 years ago. Use the ghost protocol. The reply came 30 seconds later. Yes, sir. Upstairs, in the small, sparsely furnished bedroom on the 3rd floor, Nia lay on her narrow bed and stared at the ceiling. Her hands were trembling. She clenched them into fists, forcing the tremors to stop. Idiot. She shouldn't have done it. She shouldn't have trained the kid. She shouldn't have drawn attention to herself. But when she had seen those bruises on Jiho's arms last week, the distinct, finger-shaped marks that only come from other children grabbing too hard, from bullies who smell weakness like sharks smell blood, something inside her had cracked. The carefully constructed wall of Nia the housekeeper had crumbled, revealing the soldier beneath. She knew what it was like to be the weak one. She knew what it was like to be hunted. For a moment, the ceiling of the Korean mansion dissolved, and she was back in Accra. The heat was suffocating. The air smelled of exhaust fumes and grilled tilapia. She was in the hotel room at the Kempinski. She wasn't a housekeeper then. She was Specialist J, private security detail for Diplomatos A. The memory hit her like a physical blow. The door exploding inward. The deafening roar of automatic weapons fire in a confined space. The diplomat's head snapping back, red mist painting the expensive beige wallpaper. Run, Nia. Don't look back. Just run. That was Dale's voice. Dale, who had been her partner for 3 years. Dale, who pushed her into the service elevator and hit the button just as the assassin turned the gun on him. She remembered the look in Dale's eyes, acceptance. And then the gunshot. She had spent 8 months running. 8 months looking over her shoulder. 8 months waking up in cold sweats, seeing Kofi's face, hearing Amara's screams, feeling the blood on her hands. The people who killed the diplomat weren't just random thugs. They were a cartel cleanup crew, and they didn't leave loose ends. Nia was the only loose end. She ran through Ivory Coast, Morocco, Turkey, China, and finally, South Korea. She changed her name 3 times. She worked under-the-table jobs, slept in hostels, and scrubbed toilets to stay invisible. She thought she was safe here. A powerful Korean household. A fortress. Who would look for a Ghanaian ex-mercenary in the home of a Seongnam Mafia boss? It was the perfect hiding spot. Until today. Until she let her guard down to help a scared little boy. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Nia froze. It wasn't her official phone. It was the burner. The one nobody had the number for. Her blood turned to slush. She stared at the screen for 3 agonizing seconds before picking it up. Unknown number. She opened the message. Nice garden. Seongnam is lovely this time of year. No. No, no, no. A photo loaded beneath the text. It was grainy, taken from a long-distance lens, likely from the hill overlooking the estate. It was a photo of her in the garden with Jiho, taken today. Panic, cold and sharp, seized her throat. They had found her. How? It didn't matter. They were here. Nia was moving before she consciously decided to act. She was out of bed, stripping off her uniform, pulling on jeans and a dark hoodie in 30 seconds. Her go-bag was already packed beneath the bed: cash, fake passports, a knife, a burner phone. She always kept it packed. She had maybe an hour, maybe less. She moved toward the door, her hand on the knob, and then she froze. Jiho. The boy was sleeping 2 floors down. Tae-hyun's security was good, but Nia knew the people hunting her. They were butchers. If they came for her, they wouldn't knock. They would burn the house down to flush her out. If she ran now, if she disappeared into the night, the cartel might think she was still inside. They might hit the house anyway. Jiho would be collateral damage. Just like the diplomat's driver. Just like the hotel maid in Accra. She saw Jiho's face, the way he had looked at her in the garden. You're safe with me. She couldn't do it. She couldn't leave him to be slaughtered because of her past. Damn it, she whispered, a tear slipping down her cheek. Damn it all. She released the doorknob. She walked back to the bed and sat down. She pulled out the burner phone again. Her fingers flew across the keypad, dialing a number she had sworn never to use, a contact from her old life, a broker in the shadows who owed her a favor. She sent a single text: they found me. Kang Estate, Seongnam. There is a child. I am compromised. I need eyes on the threat. The response came in under a minute. Sit tight. Do not engage. I am looking. Nia closed her eyes and began to pray. Downstairs, inside the soundproofed command center of the estate, Tae-hyun was reviewing the perimeter reports when Chief Han knocked and entered. The head of security looked grim, his usually stoic face etched with concern. Sir, the deep background check on Nia Woods hasn't come back yet. But we have something else. Tae-hyun spun his chair around. What? I pulled the internal security footage from last night. 10 minutes ago. Chief Han set a tablet on the desk. Watch. The timestamp read 11:34 p.m. The video showed Nia's bedroom. Tae-hyun watched as Nia received the text. He saw the color drain from her face, even in the black and white feed. He saw the terror. And then he saw the soldier activate. In 30 seconds, she was packed. In 45 seconds, she was dressed. In 60 seconds, she was standing at her door, hand on the handle, ready to bolt. She was running, Chief Han said. She has a go-bag. She's a pro. But then, on the screen, Nia stopped. She stood at the door for 10 seconds. Then she let go. She walked back to the bed, sat down, and put her head in her hands. Why didn't she run? Tae-hyun asked, his voice barely a whisper. She was ready. She was terrified. Why did she stay? Look at the time, sir, Han pointed. She looked at the floor. Toward the second floor. Toward Jiho's room. She stayed because of him, Tae-hyun realized, a strange warmth blooming in his chest amidst the suspicion. She thinks she's protecting him by staying? Or she couldn't bear to leave him. Sir, Han hesitated. There is more. Our perimeter drones picked up 3 vehicles circling the estate between midnight and 3 a.m. 2 vans, 1 sedan. Blocked plates. Military-grade jamming equipment. Tae-hyun's hand tightened on the armrest of his chair until the leather creaked. You think someone is watching the house? I think someone is hunting her, Han corrected. And now they are at your doorstep. Tae-hyun stood up. The predator was back. Double the guard on Jiho. No one enters his wing without my biometric override. And bring Nia to my study. Now. When Nia entered the study flanked by 2 armed guards, she looked exhausted. Her eyes were rimmed with red, but her spine was steel. She didn't look like a maid anymore. She looked like a prisoner of war who had already decided not to talk. Sit, Tae-hyun ordered. She sat. He slid the tablet across the desk, playing the footage of her almost running. Tell me who you really are, he said, his voice deadly quiet. And tell me why there are 3 kill teams circling my home. Nia's face went carefully blank. I don't know what you are talking about. Wrong answer. Tae-hyun leaned forward, placing both hands on the desk. I have a son sleeping 2 floors above us. If you brought a war to my door, I will put a bullet between your eyes myself. Do you understand me? Her jaw tightened. She looked at him, measuring the threat. She saw that he meant it. My name is Nia, she said softly. That part is true. I am not a housekeeper. I was a private military contractor in West Africa for 6 years. I specialized in executive protection. Tae-hyun didn't blink. Go on. 8 months ago, I was the lead detail for a diplomat in Accra. It was a setup. Someone leaked our location. They killed him. They killed my team. I was the only survivor. Her voice didn't shake, but her eyes were haunted. The people who ordered the hit, they don't leave witnesses. They have been tracking me ever since. And you chose to hide in my house? I chose to hide in the house of a man who scares people, she shot back. I thought I would be safe behind your walls. I wasn't trying to endanger Jiho. I swear to you. You trained my son in combat. I trained him to survive. Her voice rose, cracking with emotion. Because I saw the bruises, Mr. Kang. I saw the way he flinches when a door slams. I know that look. And I knew that if the monsters ever came, your monsters or mine, he needed a fighting chance. Silence hung heavy in the room. It was a terrifying logic, but Tae-hyun couldn't deny it. She wasn't a spy. She was a refugee. A protector. The text, he said. Show me. She handed him the burner phone. Nice garden. Tae-hyun stared at the photo. They know you're here. You are a beacon. I can leave, Nia said quickly. I will go tonight. I will draw them away. If you leave now, they will take you within a mile of the gate, Tae-hyun said coldly. And once they have you, they will come back here to scrub the site. To eliminate any witnesses. Which includes my son. Nia paled. I won't let that happen. You don't have a choice, Tae-hyun said. He stood up and walked around the desk. He stopped inches from her. Let me be very clear, Nia. If anyone comes for my son because of you, I will end them. And then I will end you. Are we understood? If anyone comes for your son, Nia whispered, locking eyes with him, they will have to step over my corpse first. You're a housekeeper, he mocked gently. I am a soldier, she corrected. Suddenly, the door burst open. Chief Han stood there, breathless. Sir, we have a situation. It's the school. The principal is on the line. The world seemed to tilt. Is it Jiho? There has been an incident. You need to come. Tae-hyun was in the armored Mercedes in 4 minutes. Nia insisted on coming. He didn't argue. He wanted her where he could see her. They arrived at the elite private academy, a sprawling campus of brick and ivy that smelled of old money, to find Jiho sitting in the principal's office. He was unharmed, but his school blazer was torn. Sitting across from him were 3 other boys, all older, all bigger, nursing ice packs. Their parents were there, furious, wearing suits that cost more than most people's cars. The principal, a thin woman with a pinched face, stood up. Mr. Kang. Thank you for coming. What happened? Tae-hyun's voice was a low rumble. There was an altercation. These 3 boys, well, they say your son attacked them. He broke Minho's nose, one of the mothers shrieked. She was dripping in diamonds. Your son is a savage. He should be expelled. Tae-hyun looked at the victim. Minho was 12. He was twice Jiho's size. My son is 8, Tae-hyun said calmly. And you are telling me he broke the nose of a 12-year-old? He used some kind of martial arts. A father stepped forward. He was weasel-faced, with shifty eyes. Tae-hyun recognized him instantly. Director Choi. A money launderer for the Wang faction, Tae-hyun's rivals. He struck my son in the throat, Choi spat. This is unacceptable. Tae-hyun looked at Jiho. Jiho, tell me the truth. Jiho looked up. His lip quivered, but he held his father's gaze. They cornered me by the bathrooms. Minho said he wanted my watch. The one mom gave me. Tae-hyun's hands curled into fists. That watch was the last gift Hyunjin had given the boy. I said no, Jiho whispered. He grabbed my wrist. So, I rotated. Like Nia taught me. And when he didn't let go, I went for the weak points. Silence filled the room. The weak points, the principal repeated faintly. Eyes. Throat. Knees, Jiho recited. Always the knees. Director Choi turned purple. Who is teaching this child to be a gangster? I am, Nia said from the doorway. Every head turned. She stepped into the room, wearing her black coat, looking every inch the warrior she claimed to be. I am Mr. Kang's employee, she said smoothly. I have been teaching Jiho basic self-defense. He was outnumbered 3-1 by boys significantly larger than him who were attempting to rob him. He defended himself appropriately. Appropriately? Director Choi sneered. You are the help. Do not speak. Your son attempted to steal a deceased mother's keepsake from an 8-year-old, Nia said, her voice dropping an octave. If you have an issue with the outcome, perhaps you should teach your children not to be thieves. The mother gasped. The principal looked like she might faint. Tae-hyun felt a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Miss Woods, the principal stammered. This school has a zero-tolerance policy for violence. Then I suggest you enforce it equally, Tae-hyun said, stepping up beside Nia. They stood as a united front, the king and his knight. Because if my son is expelled for defending himself against 3 bullies, I will be making a very generous donation to your competitor across town, along with an exclusive interview about how this academy protects the children of criminals who prey on the weak. Director Choi stepped forward, getting in Tae-hyun's face. Are you threatening us, Kang? Tae-hyun smiled. It was the smile of a shark before it bites. I don't make threats, Choi. I make promises. Okay, hold up. I need to know right now, whose team are you on? Team Jiho or Team Bullies? Drop your vote in the comments. And seriously, if you think Nia is the absolute MVP for standing up to those rich snobs, you need to subscribe to this channel right now. We are building a community of warriors here, and I don't want you to miss a single moment of this heat. Hit that button. Let's go. They left the school with Jiho unenrolled. Tae-hyun would find a better place. A safer place. But the victory was short-lived. 30 minutes after they returned to the estate, Chief Han pulled Tae-hyun aside. Director Choi, Han said urgently. He is not just a loudmouth parent. He is the brother-in-law of the Wang faction's leader. You humiliated him in public. Tae-hyun went very still. The Wang faction. His bitterest enemies. The people rumored to have tampered with his wife's car 2 years ago. You're telling me one of their lieutenants just got owned by my 8-year-old? Yes, sir. And they will view this as an act of aggression. This is bad, Tae-hyun whispered. He looked across the living room. Nia was sitting on the rug with Jiho, reading a book. The boy was curled into her side, safe. She had stayed. Even when running would have saved her life, she stayed for his son. And now, Jiho was in the crosshairs of 2 different wars, the cartel hunting Nia, and the Wang faction hunting the Kangs. Lockdown, Tae-hyun ordered. Full fortress mode. No one in or out. Rotate guards every 4 hours. And the woman. He watched Nia. He watched the way she subconsciously checked the windows every few seconds. She stays, he said. Sir, she is a liability, Han argued. She brings heat. She is a soldier, Tae-hyun corrected. And right now I am short on soldiers. The house became a fortress. 16 guards patrolled the grounds. The windows were shuttered. The tension was thick enough to choke on. But inside the eye of the storm, something changed. Nia didn't hide anymore. She spent her nights in the training gym in the basement. Tae-hyun found her there 3 days later at 2 a.m. She was destroying a heavy bag. Her knuckles were wrapped, her gray tank top soaked through with sweat. She was unleashing a fury that was terrifying to behold, hooks, elbows, roundhouse kicks that landed with the crack of a whip. Tae-hyun watched from the doorway for a long time. He should leave. He should maintain the distance between master and servant. But the pull was magnetic. You're dropping your left hand when you hook, he said. Nia spun around, crouching into a defensive stance before she recognized him. She relaxed, breathing hard. Sir, call me Tae-hyun. He walked into the gym, loosening his tie. You've been here a month. You saved my son's dignity and his life. We are past formalities. Why are you letting me stay? She asked, wiping her face with a towel. Your men hate me. They think I am a danger. You are dangerous, Tae-hyun admitted. He stopped a few feet from her. But I think you are more afraid of failing Jiho than you are of dying. Nia went still. I won't let anyone hurt him. I know. They stood there, the air charged with electricity. It wasn't just respect. It was recognition. Two predators recognizing the same scars in each other. Teach me, Tae-hyun said suddenly. Nia frowned. Sir, teach me what you taught the boy. I want to see how you fight. She looked at him like he was crazy. You are a mafia boss. I am just the help. Humor me. Nia smiled then. A genuine, sharp smile. Okay, but if I accidentally break your arm, do not fire me. Deal. They sparred. It started slow, testing reaches, testing reflexes. But soon, the tempo increased. Nia was fast, blindingly fast. Tae-hyun was stronger, heavier. They moved around the mats, a dance of violence and grace. He threw a jab, she slipped it and tapped his ribs. He swept her leg, she rolled and came up ready. For the first time in 2 years, Tae-hyun wasn't thinking about business or enemies or grief. He was just present. And then, 1 week later, the world exploded. It happened at 3:47 a.m. The darkest part of the night. Nia woke to the sound of breaking glass. It was a subtle sound, masked by the wind, but her brain was wired to hear it. She was moving before her eyes opened. Gun from under the pillow. Knife from her ankle strap. She opened her door. The hallway was pitch black. The power had been cut. Jiho, she hissed. She moved toward the boy's room, hugging the wall. She nearly collided with a dark shape. She raised her gun. The shape raised his. It's me, Tae-hyun's voice whispered. How many? Perimeter is breached. At least 6 inside. Han is pinned down at the gate. Go to Jiho, Nia ordered. I will clear the stairs. Together, Tae-hyun said. They moved like a single organism. They burst into Jiho's room. The boy was awake, sitting up in bed, eyes wide with terror. Appa? Come here, buddy. We're playing the quiet game. Tae-hyun scooped him up. Head down. They moved into the hallway. They needed to get to the panic room behind the wine cellar in the basement. They reached the top of the grand staircase when the first shadow detached itself from the darkness. A man in tactical gear, night vision goggles glowing green. Nia didn't hesitate. She didn't shout a warning. She fired twice. Fut-fut. The silenced rounds hit center mass. The man dropped without a sound. Move, she hissed. They ran down the stairs. The foyer was a war zone. 2 more attackers appeared from the kitchen. Contact left. Tae-hyun shouted. He fired one-handed, shielding Jiho with his body. He took one down. The second attacker swung a submachine gun toward them. Nia sprinted. She didn't fire. She was too close. She slid across the marble floor, cutting the man's legs out from under him. As he fell, she drove her knife into the gap in his armor near the collarbone. It was brutal. It was efficient. It was necessary. Clear, she yelled. Behind you. Nia spun. A fourth man, huge, built like a tank, lunged from the shadows of the living room. He knocked the gun from her hand. He slammed her into the wall. The impact knocked the wind out of her. He grabbed her throat. Nia clawed at his eyes, but he was wearing goggles. He squeezed. Black spots danced in her vision. No, not like this. Not while Jiho is watching. She summoned every ounce of strength. She drove her knee into his groin. He grunted but held on. She reached down, fumbling for her backup blade. A gunshot rang out. The man's head snapped back. His grip loosened. He slid to the floor. Tae-hyun stood there, his gun smoking. Get up. Nia gasped for air, nodding. The safe room. Go. They were 10 feet from the heavy oak door of the wine cellar when the final wave hit. 3 men burst through the front doors. Get inside. Nia screamed. She grabbed a discarded submachine gun from the floor. I'll hold them. No. Tae-hyun yelled. Go. She opened fire, spraying the entrance, forcing the attackers to take cover. Tae-hyun shoved Jiho into the safe room passage. He turned back for her. Nia. A bullet caught him in the shoulder. He spun around, slamming into the doorframe. Blood bloomed dark against his white shirt. Tae-hyun. Nia scrambled backward, firing blindly, suppressing the enemy. She grabbed Tae-hyun by his good arm and dragged him into the panic room. She slammed the heavy steel door shut and spun the locking wheel just as bullets hammered against the metal from the outside. Silence. Heavy, ringing silence. They were safe. The room was small, lined with monitors and supplies. Ji-ho was sobbing in the corner. Tae-hyun slid down the wall, clutching his shoulder. His face was gray. Nia dropped the gun and fell to her knees beside him. Let me see. She tore open his shirt. It was a through and through. Clean exit wound. Painful, but not lethal if the bleeding stopped. Ji-ho, Tae-hyun rasped. Is he okay? He's safe, Nia said, her hands already moving, grabbing the medical kit from the wall. She pressed gauze to the wound. We're all safe. She worked in silence, cleaning the wound, binding it tight. Her hands were steady, but her heart was breaking. She looked at Tae-hyun, this powerful man who had taken a bullet for her, who had trusted her with his life. Who were they? She asked softly. Wang faction, Tae-hyun gritted out through the pain. Retaliation for the school. Not my people? No, not yours. Nia closed her eyes. She felt a tear slip out. I should leave. This is too much. Death follows me, Tae-hyun. I am cursed. We are both cursed, Tae-hyun whispered. He reached out with his good hand and caught her wrist, the same wrist she had taught his son to protect. But tonight, we survived because we were together. Nia looked at him. Really looked at him. Why do you want me to stay? She asked, her voice trembling. I am just a liability. Tae-hyun's eyes softened. The killer was gone. Only the man remained. Because when I saw that man choking you, he said hoarsely, I realized that I would burn this entire city to the ground before I let anyone take you from us. He paused. Stay, Nia. Not as the maid. Not as the bodyguard. Just stay. Nia looked at Ji-ho, who had crawled over and was holding her other hand. She looked at Tae-hyun. She had spent her whole life running. Running from pain, from death, from herself. But sitting here, on the floor of a panic room, covered in blood and sweat, she realized something. She didn't want to run anymore. Okay, she whispered. I'll stay. And in the silence of the safe room, as the sirens began to wail in the distance, a new pact was forged. Not of employment, but of blood and soul. But the question remained. The Wang faction had failed. The cartel was still out there. And now, the enemies knew exactly where the Kangs were vulnerable. Nia Woods had stopped running. But the war had just begun. Wow. I am literally breathless right now. That was intense. Family, if you are still watching, you are the real MVPs. This story is far from over. Nia and Tae-hyun have survived the night, but can they survive what comes next? Will their past destroy their future? I need you to do 3 things for me right now. First, smash that like button if you felt the chemistry between them. Second, comment warrior if you want Nia on your team. And third, and most importantly, please subscribe to Afro-Korean Soul Tales. We are building something legendary here, and I need you in the squad to see how this love story unfolds amidst the bullets and the betrayal. Stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.